Good evening, and welcome to another edition of Respect the Game podcast. I'm your host today, JJ Foster, and it is my pleasure to bring to the set some local legends back to Fort Wayne. Anytime we can get some people coming back to Fort Wayne, giving back, sharing their knowledge and expertise is always a good thing. I want to welcome to my right, my immediate right, Mr. Tracy Foster. We've got Shalante, you guys know, an original and always here when we're presenting. And last but not least, Mr. Coach Dylan Howard. Welcome, everybody, to the show. It's good to have you guys. Now, for you guys that may not know, and I know these guys are legends, so I'm probably sounding ignorant to some people because everybody know they from Fort Wayne. They know who these guys are, but I'm going to act like, hey, I don't know. And we've got younger generation coming up.
Yeah,
you
definitely.
guys have watched the show. You know some of the topics that we have discussed. So really, that's one of the reasons we brought you on, so you guys can shed some light through your experience on some of these topics that we've already had. You know, Tracy Foster, for you don't know, standout, Homestead High School, went on and played at Indiana University, was an Indiana All-Star, gentleman averaged 24 and 10, a double-double.
Okay.
You know, Dylan Howard played at Harding. And you know what's funny? A lot of people say played at Harding. You know, that's a middle school. No, he played at Harding when Harding was a powerhouse. But, you know, Dylan averaged over 20-plus points a game, double digits in rebound as well. So, gentlemen, talk to us a little bit. The first thing I'm going to ask you about is compare high school basketball in Fort Wayne when you guys played to where we're at right now. Who wants to start first? Tracy, I see your mouth moving. Go ahead.
Well, it's a big difference now because when we played, everybody, it was more kids that were involved. Like all the guys were playing. You competed at Weiser Park, McCulloch Center, Lakeside, and your goal was to make the JV, be on the varsity, heck, make the freshman team. It was just more. There weren't freshmen that played varsity back then. There was one guy during my time that played varsity, a guy named Benny Moore. He's the only guy. Nobody played varsity as a freshman. I played as a freshman. I played on the freshman team.
Okay.
So it's a different. It's just so because there was so many guys playing. It was so much more important to everybody. I think nowadays, the kids just have so many other avenues and different things that they're doing that it's not quite as important. I don't think the kids get coached as hard now. So it's just different. It's just different.
I see
now.
you saying like parks, like outside, like Weiser Park, and so it was a lot of more outdoor play. Is that what you're saying? Like,
oh yeah, Weiser Park. You go up to Weiser Park during the summertime at 5:00, and on all the picnic tables, you'd see coaches from all over the country, junior college, Big
Wow.
Ten, all over sitting on the park benches watching kids play. It would be kids that didn't even play high school basketball. They would get scholarships from playing up at Weiser Park.
so it was a lot easier to get recruited. You feel like
It wasn't easier to get recruited, but it was so many good players here because so many kids played,
Okay.
and everybody couldn't make the team. So coaches would just sit on the park benches and watch kids play.
Wow, that's crazy.
There you go. Coach Howard?
Well, one of the things that I can remember just growing up, you know, the competition was it was tough. You know, now you've got everyone, you know, we didn't have AAU back then. Our AAU was the park, and you competed. So now your job was to try to pick the best five to stay on the court because if you lost, you're out, probably sitting out 3 or 4 games if you happen to get back on the court. And then also just the crowds itself, you know, obviously back when me and Tracy played and Jay played, you know, it was just one class. So those games were just, I mean, it was so exciting. And you're talking, I guess Harding maybe would seat 4,000 people, and most of those games we would probably have around 4,000 people, and you would have to get there during the JV game, you know, and Tracy, I probably got to remind you, there was another guy that started as a freshman.
Dylan Howard. I thought the same thing when he
He
said
said, "Don't count him out."
Yeah, when y'all got to the state tournament, you didn't play. You didn't start during the season because when we told y'all up, you wasn't even on the team.
You know what? You are correct.
Thank you.
And I probably started because y'all did beat us, it was like Coach Frick said, we've got to bring Dylan up and start him the next game. And I started the second half of the season.
Okay. After we told y'all up, you had to get moved up. Okay, get
You are lucky I didn't play.
Oh, I love it. But hey, Big D, you struck. Hey, you said something that was really poignant. You talked about Harding, 4,000 people, and you could go to any gym in Allen County, and that's exactly what it was. Packed houses. We can talk about the Coliseum. Coliseum seated 10,000. When you talk holiday tournament, you talked about sectional, regionals, all that. Now we can go to games, and you're right, class basketball, it kind of knocks some of that luster off. You got social media. People got a lot more things to do. Whatever you want to say. But go ahead, speak a little bit more. TF, what you got to say about Hoosier hysteria?
There would be regular season Fort Wayne high school games that would be scheduled, say, back when, I'm trying to think of a game when, in particular, like Wayne or Northside's going to go to Southside or somebody when they were all ranked. That'd be a regular season game scheduled to play at, say, Wayne. No. Ticket sales is too high. We got to move it to the Coliseum. A regular season game.
That's why.
A regular season game. They got to move it to the Coliseum. No, I can remember one time, Northside and Southside, they were supposed to play. Got moved to the Coliseum. Ticket sales too big.
That's why this was like the basketball state, really. Right
That's
there.
exactly right. That's where it got his. That's where it's got his name. Hoosier hysteria, and people talking about the granddaddy. What's this the Mecca. People say New York, whatever.
Yes,
Indiana, Hoosier hysteria. This was it.
And the games would be on the radio.
That's right.
So my high school games, if you didn't get there by halftime of the JV game, you couldn't get in. Wow. And then people would sit in the parking lot and listen to the game on the radio and be talking about, I was at the game. I listened to it in the radio in my car in the parking lot. Yeah.
And well, real quick, it's a travesty now that no sectionals, no regionals, no semi-states. Am I correct by saying none of those are played in Fort Wayne now, or have they changed that?
You are 100% correct. We actually have some sectionals. They host at a couple of the local schools. But once you get out of sectionals, nothing else. No regionals, semi-states. And the fact that you say it's a travesty, you're exactly right. Because I speak to people, you think about from Michigan City, from Marion, they used to enjoy coming down those towns, and they talked about their experiences coming down to Fort Wayne and hanging out at the mall and making it a day. Now you got people, from Fort Wayne, we got to go to these little towns, and you go there. Check this out. Hey, Big D, in semi-state, regional, Wayne and Northside played each other. They both from Fort Wayne. For a one-game scenario, they had to travel, hour and a half to go play each other in the same conference, and we right here, second largest city in the state.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So that is exactly where we're at.
And it's proven that obviously you bring anything to Fort Wayne, especially basketball, they're going to support it. Just like obviously I'm watching the game on the internet or on YouTube, trying.
The D3?
Just won the national championship. The D3 championship was here, and it was packed out at the Coliseum. So it's a shame that they don't bring back games like that, high school games like that, back to the Coliseum.
At least.
You're exactly right. Now, both of you guys, we talked about your high school careers. You're both successful. Tracy, you came out of Homestead. Talk to us. How did you choose Indiana? And we talking about Indiana, not the Indiana that you guys have grown up and have known, and they've been struggling, not making the tournament and all that good stuff. We talking about Indiana with the national championships. Legendary coach Bob Knight. You go to Indiana, you are the it. Talk to us. How did you decide? And with that being the it in Indiana, it took a certain type of player. Not everybody was going to Indiana. Talk to us about your decision and how you chose Indiana.
I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. No, when I was coming out of high school, the recruiting process was intense, certainly, and I think it's safe to say that I was a highly recruited guy, and being from Indiana and growing up in Indiana, it was they always had like an edge on everybody else. But I tell you, one of the biggest reasons, or I shouldn't say one of the biggest reasons, but a big factor to consider in my thought process was back then all the games wasn't on TV. When I came out of high school, it wasn't no such thing as ESPN. So everybody wants to play on TV. Everybody wants to play in front of your family and your friends and all that kind of stuff. Well, all the Indiana games came on TV in Indiana. There was no ESPN. So that was a big factor in that decision. And then 2 years later, there's a thriving company called ESPN where all the games is on TV.
2 years later.
Yeah, just 2 years later.
Yes.
When Dylan and I were playing at UAB, all our games was on TV there
That's
too.
right.
Just 2 years later. But I would say that one of the factors was you want to play on TV. All the kids, you want to play on TV. And that's what's leveled out some of the recruiting. That's why there's so many good teams now, is because everybody's on TV now.
No question. All right, now, Big D, I know you came out decision. I know Purdue had some interest in you, and that was talk you was going to go to Purdue. That's where I always thought you was headed to. Then I look up. Next thing I know, you headed down the highway going to UAB.
Right.
And, Tracy spent 2 years at IU. Then he transferred to UAB. So I don't know. Talk to us how you got there. Did Tracy have some influence on you? What happened? Let me hear about this.
I still blame Tracy to this day for getting me down to UAB.
Blame me.
No. My experience at UAB, it was great. And it was a tough decision because I did have several schools, obviously several Big Ten schools recruiting me. Schools from all over the nation was recruiting me, but there was a certain style of basketball that I wanted to play. Also, I wanted to get out of this cold weather. I ain't gonna lie. So Birmingham, when I took my visit, it just attracted me. The players were great, and I had a great 4-year career down there. And this is another thing that, and I don't know if this was going to be a topic, JJ, but I didn't play my freshman year. Here I am, one of the top 50, top 75 players in the nation. I didn't really play my freshman year. So obviously we got this transfer portal now.
Right.
But back then, Dad, Mom said, no, that's your decision. You stick by your decision.
Okay.
And so, I had to wait my turn because we were senior heavy and we were good. I mean, we were ranked as high as 12th in the nation or 10th in the nation my freshman year. And so, I had to wait my time my freshman year, but then my sophomore year, junior year, and senior year, I started.
Nice.
Okay. Now, it's funny. You talk about everything's a topic, Big D.
Yeah.
And these are things that we have discussed. And it's funny. You talk about the transfer portal in college. We've actually discussed the transfer portal here in high school.
Yeah.
So when Tracy talking about freshmen didn't play, back then, and you could debate, like you said, you played, that was few and far between. Now you got freshmen coming into high school, and if they not playing,
they transfer.
they darting. That's the reason they choosing schools is because they're going to play as a freshman.
Exactly.
So you're exactly right. We're talking this completely different time and place. And you're going to make me jump to something quicker because you know what? You a college coach. And we're going to speak to you.
Hold on real quick. I just wanted to ask you, though, do you feel like that made a difference, you not playing as a freshman versus you playing, if you could have had that transfer portal, do you feel like you would have got a head start and been a better player, possibly? Went to the league or something like that?
No, I mean, I was content.
Okay.
I mean, because I had some growing up to do, some maturing to do, and I had to get better. I mean, it was some dogs at UAB. I mean,
he was one of them. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, every day you had to strap it up and you had to bring it. So, once I learned from the veteran players of how to get better and how to become basically a professional, even though you're in college, once I learned that, I was good to go. Mm-hmm. And then I became that dog.
There you go.
Okay.
That's true.
And that's what I tell people, too. What people don't understand, like when you in college and you going at it that hard each and every day, People show up and they see the games. They don't understand. Hey, practice each and every day the battles. That's where you get better, that competition, and you get respect from your teammates. I mean, if you ain't cutting the mustard, your teammates go eat you alive.
That's right.
But if you out there, you compete, you got that respect from your teammates. They know you can play, and that's what helps you move you up. But again, Big D, you a college coach.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the climate. How do you coach right now? I mean, with NIL deals, with social media, you get telling the kid he need to improve, he need to work on this, but this kid has 1.2 million followers telling him how great he is. Speak of that, because a lot of people, I'm telling you, they don't understand that aspect of this.
Yeah.
As a coach, it is very tough to navigate. And obviously, you see some of the legendary coaches. I think that's one of the reasons they have retired and gotten out of the game. Now, my level, I basically a low major Division I head coach, a former D1 head coach, coached at Alabama A&M. And basically, if I'm going to just say a freshman, he was my best player. And I couldn't keep him because he put up a few numbers. I think he averaged 12 or 13, and next thing I know, he's ready to transfer. And it was some other circumstances. One of the circumstances, him and the family, they were mad that I'm trying to coach him and tell him that his game is a mid-range game, but all he wanted to do and his family wanted to do was shoot threes. So we kind of clashed. So at the end of the season, they well, you don't want me shooting threes, I'm leaving. But you were my leading scorer as a freshman, so it didn't matter. Was
this
he
during
was not happy.
NIL time or?
No, this was not during NIL
Do you
time.
think...
So right now, that is a whole different ballgame with the NIL.
Because that could have made a difference maker in possibly you keeping them on. Okay, I was just wondering.
Not with this one.
All right.
It's that NIL and all that stuff and the trust. It makes a difference now, but the pendulum was way over here where when you went to school, they owned you. You don't sign no 4-year scholarship. It's 1 year renewable. They can get rid of you, but if you wanted to transfer, they could tell you, no, we ain't gonna release you. Or you can go to this school, but you can't go to this school, this school, this school, this school. They owned you. And they could do whatever they wanted to with you. So the pendulum was way over here. Now they took all that stuff to the Supreme Court. Now the pendulum has swung all the way to the other side with this NIL stuff and transfer portal, where the Supreme Court said, wait a minute, you coaches can do whatever you want to do. Y'all making a bunch of money. Y'all doing this, but you can't fly the kid this, you can't do that. Now, Dylan, all the time he was head coach, he used to call me up and read me these NCAA rules. He said, this is a real rule. And I'd be like, come on, man. So you can give a kid a bagel, but you can't put peanut butter on it. That's real. You can pick him up at the airport when on his recruiting visit, but when he come back to go to school, you can't pick him up.
Yeah, that is crazy.
I mean, there's so many stupid rules.
Yes.
So the Supreme Court has said, wait a minute, you guys are crazy. And then, so the pendulum has swung too far. But the real deal is that the NCAA, with all their billions of dollars, they put their money around all their money, and they said, well, we ain't gonna give y'all none. So they started the NIL with thinking that they gonna do some car washes, sell some T-shirts and stuff like that. They really underestimated what was going to happen.
Right.
And then when the kids start making money, now they crying about it. Nick Saban in front of the Congress talking about all the kids, they come in there, all they wonder is about how much money that they going to get. Well, Nick Saban, you making $9 million a year, and basically said that the kids are better off for having an experience with me. Come on, man, that makes zero sense on so many levels. But if you want to fix the transfer portal and you want to and about the money, you know what they need to do?
What's that?
Sharing all the money that they get, and when the kids sign to go to school, you got a contract. You stay there for 2 years or 4 years because you have a contract. You have a contract. Right now, there's not a contract. They doing what they want to do, but the coach is making a ton of money, can leave, do whatever they want to do, and now they mad because the Supreme Court stepped in and said, no, you guys are wrong, but they don't want to give up their money. It's greed.
Right now, Jay, it's absolutely ridiculous because it's a bidding war. Like every single year, you have to re-recruit your players on your team because someone from a bigger school that has a bigger NIL pot is recruiting them and telling them, no, come on over here. We got an extra $300,000, $400,000 and we're going to put in your pocket. So what the kid going to do? He going to where that money's at.
Yeah. Like y'all said, I mean, the horses are out the barn, but the fact that NIL, they have that period opens up during the tournament. Whose idea was that? You got guys literally playing the tournament that's playing, that's got their name in the portal.
Yes.
Y'all explain that to me. If that's not some of the craziest stuff you ever, like you said, I got to recruit my guys, but we're here trying to make a run on this season.
Exactly.
I mean, if anything at its basic, that needs to get cleaned up. Let's push that date back.
And what has happened, so you've got all levels now. So now because you've got that college experience, you got your NAIA top players now are being recruited to go D1. You got your D3 top players are recruited to go D1. Your top D2 players recruited to go D1 because the D1 coaches, they want someone with experience. So what's happening now is the high school players are getting left out. If you're not probably a top 100, top 150, it's going to be tough on you.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough, but and it is, but it's just a new day, and everybody wants to say it's the Wild Wild West. That's true. And like Big D said a little bit ago, the top coaches getting out the game because of that, and then people want to point to that and say, well, those guys quit because of the portal and the NIL. We supposed to be mad about that? That's like being mad at some plantation owners saying I'm gonna quit selling cotton because slavery over with. It's the same thing.
Man,
it's the same thing. Share the money. Y'all making billions of dollars with these TV contracts.
Correct.
I mean, that's where it comes down to. I mean, you got guys on TV, LeBron James in high school. They running him around all over the country, all his games on ESPN, and everybody talk about Dick Vitale, talking about, he should go to college. He doesn't need money. Money's not important. Well, guess what, Dick? You ain't calling that game for free. And ESPN ain't doing it for free. They selling commercials. They making money off of him. And then when his mother got that truck, then they made him ineligible. But y'all making all that money off of him, but he can't get nothing. So now the pendulum just swung the other way, where now the kids can get something, and they mad about it.
Right.
But at the same time, again, they got all their money over here. They said, this mine. But we mad because y'all getting it. Don't y'all get nothing. We going to Congress, and we gonna talk to them. Help us. They get somebody.
Hey, that's exactly right. I had these arguments with old school guys all the time. I don't like it. I don't like it, Jay.
Yeah,
I was like, what don't you like it? Hold on. So you liked it when everything that he just said, not to kick a dead horse, but everything that he just said, it was cool. But now the kids get the money. Now it's an issue. And
now
really, the kids ain't even getting the money because they ain't took nothing out they play. They still getting it. So now all of a sudden, and as all of us up here as college basketball players, D1s, that's what first thing I tell people. Hey, I was at Coastal Carolina. We're a small D1. Yeah. And they had that study when the teams that make the NCAA tournament, how much enrollment goes up, how much that affects everything. That's all marketing. We saw none of that as a player.
True.
It's like, come on. Pay these kids. And they talk about you get that education. No, as he said, they own you. Yeah. Your schedule is set. It is a tight schedule. You working. Yeah, I appreciate the education. You're right. Yeah. But still, these guys, I'm with you guys. The athletes get their worth, get what you can get. Yeah. Yes. And I'm tired of people talking just because that's the way it was. Right. Who cares?
I mean, throw some structure in there too, but obviously, everybody ain't going to be
something has to be done. You're exactly right, Tay.
The way it is now, I think it got to be fixed. I agree with that. Mm-hmm. But being fixed don't mean that the kids ain't getting any money. Correct. But the way it wasn't right either. Because what happened was they had the scholarships and all that kind of stuff. It was a different thing. But as college, and I'm thinking particularly about basketball because that's what I did as I played. But as the money got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, they try to leave the system the same. Yeah. when we was in school, you could only get fed one time a day during the season.
No.
Everything else was a violation.
True.
You know, and so it took one guy, social media, to go in there and say, yeah, I'm playing the NCAA tournament. They can't feed us. I'm hungry.
Yeah.
And then, NCAA reacted quick. Oh, you can feed them all year round now, 24 hours a day. Get them some food.
Man.
Because it was on social media, it was an easy fix.
That's what it is today. Everything.
Yeah, now so they've been reacting to that, and then when, so they just need to share in the money that they make in, and it could be fixed, and it could be fixed and fair.
Fixed and fair, and that's it.
Hey, that's beautiful. Hey, you guys are obviously passionate about what we do. That's the reason I brought you guys on,
definitely.
because honestly, what people don't understand, these are conversations we have, whether you're on camera or not.
Exactly.
And the other thing that I take for granted, don't even realize, but like I'll talk to somebody and I say, oh yeah, Tracy said this, or Dylan Howard said that, or John Flowers said this, Benny Moore said that. They look at me like, these are guys in my contact. I'm talking. Oh, Tracy said he talked to Calipari the other day, blah, blah, blah. Guys looking at me like, man, you got all this access, and but I don't think of it. That's the world in which we live, now. But again,
True.
Sharing what we got. Why I got you guys, though, you guys both got your degrees. Student athletes. That's one of the things that we talk about all the time. Y'all didn't let basketball use you. You used basketball to become, to broaden your life experience and give you a better quality of life. Tracy's sitting here. You can zoom into them P and W, B and W on his shirt. I mean, talk to us about your transitions, Tracy, from professional. Look, I didn't touch on the fact that y'all all play professionally, so that's all right because we're going to get to this. We're going to talk about this. So talk to us about P&W and what you're doing now, business-wise. And
Well, like you said, to start off, the transition is playing basketball. I mean, I worked really, really hard to be a basketball player. I was gifted with some height, some size, a little bit of athleticism, but I worked really, really hard at it. Well, you know that. You my brother. You was there every day watching me shovel the court and do all the stuff that I was doing. So as I transitioned, and of course I went to school, I really had no interest in school, but I knew that my grandmother and mother would kill me if I didn't make grades and do what I was supposed to do and graduate, so I was going to do that for them. I was interested in playing basketball. But basketball is going to end at some point. No matter who you are, it's going to end. Right. And I recognized that, and of course the fear of my mother and grandmother, I was going to graduate. So when I started off, I played professionally and saved almost every nickel that I made during the years that I was playing. And then when I finished, I started thinking about, okay, what's my next step? All I did was apply all the work that I had put into making myself a basketball player into the next thing. And I mean, because it's all the same. I mean, my thing was playing basketball. I was a good shooter. Well, I worked my butt off to be a good shooter. So I said, okay, now I don't know anything about this particular business or this particular business, and my degree didn't really have anything to do with it except for I had it, so that gave me a starting point where I could talk about I'm a college graduate. And then after that, I just put all the work in to my next endeavor that I did as a basketball player. That's really the core of it, really.
Okay. And Big D, I've always been curious because, I know you was in the school system, then you was a probation officer,
Man.
Then you got off into coaching and took off. So did you always want to be a coach? I really didn't know that. But what?
It was one or two things that I wanted to do, and I kind of did both. So like you said, I was a juvenile probation officer, so I did want to go into law enforcement. And I actually took the FBI test and found out that I was not good with accounting, math, and all the numbers. So I had to leave that alone. No. I'm going into coaching. Okay. So something I really know about. Okay. And so I actually got something on up under here. I'm going to just raise it up so y'all can see it. It says, so this was my first head coaching job, Hardin Simmons University. So, I was very fortunate to get my first head coaching job at kind of a young age. I guess I was 32 or 33.
Was that right in the transition when you got that?
Well, I started off here at University of St. Francis up under Jeff Reckaway. I was his top assistant, his head assistant. So, I'm in my 28th year now in coaching.
Wow.
But like Tracy talked about, the education though, and that's what I always preach to my players. So, I graduated from UAB with my bachelor's, but as I was coaching at Hardin Simmons, I was fortunate enough to get my master's also. Nice. And so now, as I'm going into someone's living room and talking with the parents, I can sell that education. Probably one of the things I'm most proud of, I've got a 100% graduation rate as far as all the players that exhausted their 4 years of eligibility. So they know that if they're going to come play for me, that education is going to come first. So, I always pretty much knew that coaching, that was my passion. Basketball is my passion. Like Tracy said, I mean, this is Indiana. So basketball, you're going to grow up with a basketball in your hand. So it was hours upon hours perfecting my craft out on the playground, not in the gym, but out on the playground. So, yeah.
Exactly right.
And you guys said something about your degrees had nothing to do with what you went into. Could you tell me what I guess you studied in school?
Well, no, actually my degree did. So my degree, my first degree was criminal justice. So and then I went on to be a juvenile probation officer. So it kind of fits. And then my master's is in sports management, and that I had to learn kind of like the administrative side when it comes to coaching and basically, if I wanted to go the route of being an athletic director, now I've got that degree to fall back on.
Nice.
Yeah, my degree is in criminal justice, also my undergrad. And I'll tell you a story about how I even picked it. Okay. So I was a freshman at Indiana, and I was a freshman, and Coach Knight came in the locker room one day, and he said, hey, Tracy, he said, our academic advisor's lady named Buzz Kirpus, he said, you haven't picked a degree yet. And I said, no, I haven't. He said, well, if you think you're going to come here and mess around for 4 years and not graduate, you got another thing coming. You need to pick a core curriculum that you're going to get your degree in. So I said, okay. He said, tomorrow at practice, I'm going to come in here and I want to know what you majored in.
Oh, man.
So I said, okay. Went to practice, did what we do, went to, I ain't think about it no more. So the next day, I'm sitting in the locker room waiting on practice, and it just clicked all of a sudden. Man, he going to come in here and ask me what I'm going to major in. So I asked my teammate, a guy named James Thomas, I said, man, what you majoring in? He said, I'm majoring in criminal justice. I said, oh, okay. So that's why I said I still had to decide. I didn't go I didn't talk to nobody. True to what he said, he came storming in there with his eyes all boiling and got in my face. He said, did you pick a major? I said, yeah, criminal justice. That's how I got my major. Man. But really, playing basketball, and like a lot of these kids now, we're talking about like the NIL and stuff, really they're missing the whole message about playing basketball. It's not about you playing as an individual and your stats and playing in the NBA and getting a scholarship. That's all gravy if it happens, fantastic. But it's the lessons that it teaches you for the rest of your life. And, I mean, you got to get along and work with somebody that you don't necessarily like. You're going to do that for the rest of your life. You got to take orders from a coach or a boss or whatever that you don't necessarily agree with what he's saying. You got to deal with adversity. I always used to, I still say this. When I was in school, I said, you flunk a math test, don't nobody know. You turn that ball over on Friday night and lose the game, it's written in the newspaper the next day. So you learn how to deal with that. So it helps you so much grow up. It's a microcosm of the rest of your life. So when these kids are switching schools and I ain't getting enough touches and I ain't doing this, they're missing the message. They really are, because athletics, there's a reason why extracurricular activities are important. I mean, if you apply to Harvard, they want to know what extracurricular activities did you do, because it teaches you other things besides just going to class and studying. And like one of me and Dylan's teammates, who was a good player with us, a guy named James Ponder. There was some girls who lived across the hall from me, and they was talking about, oh yeah, you know, we got a 4.0, we got a 3.8. What's y'all GPA? He told me, he said, yeah, all y'all do is go to school. Y'all should have a 4.0. When you're in college, you got a job.
That's right.
You know. So anyway, yep.
Yeah, Big D, you got any? What can you tell young people, or what you say? What's the word for them out there?
I would say just, once you decide to do something, be a man of your word and follow through with the commitment. I think that's just so important. And obviously, if your goal is to play, I'll say Division I basketball, but if your goal is just to play basketball, and Tracy already kind of talked about it, you're going to have to learn how to be a good teammate, and you're going to have to learn how to be basically a good player that listens to the coach in order to be successful. Otherwise, you're going to be miserable, and you're going to just be bouncing around from school to school to school, and your career will probably be a failure.
Okay.
When you look back on when I look back on playing in college, there's very few surprises. Some of the dudes you played with and what they're doing now, you ain't surprised. I'm not surprised that Dylan Howard has a master's degree and is an upstanding member in the community and doing all the stuff he's doing and influences so many kids. I'm not surprised about that. But there's some of my other teammates, I'm not surprised where they ended up either. Because at this point, not only guys I played with, but I've seen other kids. And they need to really embrace, and these parents need to cut them loose and quit babying them so much. But because they're hurting their kid, because basketball, again, is a microcosm of the rest of your life. It truly is. You showing up late and doing this and ain't working hard and complaining. Guess what they doing now I'm 60 years old now. I talk to some, I ain't saying no names, but some of them, that's what they still doing, showing up late, complaining.
Yeah.
Quitting
and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
Shalante, you got some parting shots? Anything you want to add? Message to the young people out there? You played in college.
Yeah, so not necessarily add to the young people, but I like what Dylan said earlier about like sticking to something. Like there was times where I wanted to transfer and things like that. We didn't have the transfer portal, and it was just simply because of a coach change, But then you learn to adapt and like you become accustomed to those things in life, and you do growth from that. So I say like stick to it, like he said, be a man of your word, woman of your word, and just follow through.
Awesome. Hey, I'm going to tell you this. Good stuff today. Great energy. So much stuff I really wanted to get with you guys and touch on.
Definitely.
But, hey, we went, and like I said, this is what we do on a regular basis for the most part, have conversations like these, trying to solve the world's problems, trying to make young people become better players. Get people from the starting line to the finish line from guys that have been there. We might have to have you guys back. Like I said, love the energy, love the conversation. Time has flown. We're going to be respectful for everybody's time who is a listener. But, I know one of the things that our producers always said, hey, we got good conversations. We don't care. We'll go 2 hours if need be. And that's exactly it. I know anybody that's going to listen to this today, you're going to enjoy the conversation. I'm waiting to hear the aftermath. Great stuff from you guys. And I'm hoping young people, parents, coaches that are out there, you listening, you heard some of the message, you heard what these guys had to say. They didn't come with an agenda. They're not representing any particular school, any particular body. They're telling you what they know from their experience, what they've seen, what they've witnessed. With that said, hey, we'll see you on our next episode. We're out of here. Peace.